everything is in readiness for when I need to rush in here to check the through hulls, see if we have any leaks. So that's the one I'm responsible for, plus the one in the head, the bilge through hull, and I'm also going to check where the depth sounder goes through the hull. So Lee is prepared. When we hit the water, he will be going down into the lazarette to check the through hulls for the raw water intake for the engine, the water maker, and the 4 drains for the cockpit. So he's removed a lot of stuff from the lazarette so he can get down there quickly. And it's stacked all over the place. Whew, we made it to the dock. Everything went well, and Lee is lending a hand now for another boater that is hauling out and will probably take our spot in the yard. We have had a hectic week to get ready for our splash. With the yard filling up fast with boats that had earlier reservations, we had no option to stay beyond our agreed upon departure date. The application of a non-skid surface was the next step in the deck project. Locally, the favored non-skid option is paint with marble dust sprinkled on. After walking the dock and talking with owners, we chose to go with KiwiGrip. While we were in the US, we purchased the 4-liter kit. Each liter should cover approximately 20 square feet, and with our 35-footer, we had about half a liter left, which will come in handy for touch-ups. The kit comes with a special roller for raising the texture. I liked the packaging. The paint packets are easy to seal, and anything left over can be preserved. The packet is needed to mix the paint and then applied. I had been cautioned by a friend not to over-roll the paint and not to apply too large of an area at one time. I was, therefore, at first a little tentative, and I found I was working too small of an area and finding it hard to get texture consistency from one area to another. I began applying larger sections. Another thing to consider is the color of the primer. I was applying over a charcoal gray primer, and if I wasn't careful, it would show through. It is a 2-person job, one person applying the KiwiGrip and texturing, and the other person removing the tape. The instructions indicated the optional use of a notched trowel for an even application. Next time, if there is a next time, I would give that a try. I used a paintbrush to spread the KiwiGrip as evenly as I could. I had to roll back and forth to remove the brush stroke marks, and in areas where the application of the KiwiGrip was a little thicker, the texture was more aggressive, and in areas where the application was too thin, the texture was smoother. I was looking for something in between. Part of the reason for dividing up the deck into sections bisected by waterways was to make the application of the KiwiGrip manageable. It is important to maintain a wet edge, and I found it difficult on the foredeck with its larger area to keep the wet edge going. There is some shrinkage as the material dries, and in some areas the darker primer does show through. I have touched up these areas using an artist brush, inserting the tip into the leftover packet tube and dabbing on texture. We began our painting project at sunrise, and we were lucky. Each morning was overcast and humid, giving us a little longer working time. The first morning, we painted the starboard side and a portion of the port side. The second morning, We painted the foredeck, the largest and most conspicuous area, and the remainder of the port side. My technique did get better with more practice, and it is a pity I don't have another deck to paint. I think I would do a better job. We are very pleased with the results, and if we had to do it all over again, we would use KiwiGrip. We ordered gray, and the package does say gray, but it is an extremely light gray, almost white. I was expecting a gray similar or slightly darker than the deck and cabin sides. Dirt does show up a lot more than it did with the teak deck, but it is so much cooler, and it is kind to bare feet. The original teak cleat compression pads were no longer usable, and we made a visit to Mesa Triple for suitable wood. The office, with attached lumberyard, was crammed with home improvement items. No teak was available, but the manager recommended for our purpose a wood called kumaro, also known as Brazilian teak. I found when rounding the corners, the wood seemed just a little harder than teak, but it will stand up to the moisture, and I think it will work just fine. The grinding dust from the yard was washed off the dinghy and jerry cans, and they were loaded on board. The day before we splashed, Alejandro came, moved the stands to sand and apply primer, and then bottom paint. On Friday, the day we splashed, he was not available, but he arranged that once La Brisa was in the slings, Pepe's brother would sand and paint the area of La Brisa's hull that had been supported by blocks. What a great job Alejandro has done for us. Removing deck hardware was so much easier than rebedding and reattaching. Before splashing, it was essential the deck cleats be ready for dock lines. We cannot say at this point we are completely finished with the deck project. We will have more reattaching work in store for us at the dock, and Lee wants to make a modification to the mounting of the Genoa sail track. With the heat increasing, we have hit the water just in time, and even though we were initially uncertain about the timing of our early haul out, we are grateful we hauled out when we did and not later. Everything has worked out for the best. Join us next time for our transition from yard life to dock denizens. So, until then,